Cutesy Mountain Dew bottle.
That's what I was thinking. You get this, like, baby Mountain Dew here. It's not even that small. It's just, that would normally be the can size. And
was it 300? Yeah. So
it looks very small in that bottle.
It does. I feel like a giant drinking it.
It's your Mountain Dew shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Buyer's Remorse.
Hello, and welcome to Buyer's Remorse. I'm Darren.
I'm Justin.
And in this show, we make each other play games that have been in our libraries untouched for 60 minutes, see how they were. We
played for 60 minutes. They've been untouched for probably longer than 60 minutes.
Yeah. I can't remember which one I picked for you, or which one are you going to do today?
So the one I did for today was called Simple Story Alex.
I don't know why I chose this. I don't even remember this.
I don't know why you picked it either. This game is $1 at base. It was released May 23rd, 2018. Dev and publisher, it sounds like a one-guy operation.
Okay.
Russian, so one of the letters looks backwards to me.
Well, that's why I picked
backwards letter N, K, A or K-O. I think it's K-O. My poor handwriting. Apologies. Mostly positive with 41 reviews.
Oh, well.
Only 2 languages, English and Russian. And as we're going to find, English is not his main language, which he kind of keeps apologizing for, probably more than he really needs to. I think people kind of know what they're getting into when they play this game, which I think is why it has mostly positive reviews.
Okay.
This is an RPGMaker game.
Okay.
The English is slightly off, as I hinted at before, but it's not awful. You know what he's trying to say, and that's why I almost think he apologizes a little bit too much. But I think that he wants you to be aware that, yes, it's not going to be perfect, and that's because I'm not a native English speaker, which, fine, I'm not worried about at all.
Yeah.
But as well, in the description on the Steam store page and in the opening of the game, he says, hey, this is my first game, try not to be too harsh on it. Which, again, I get, but there's a point where you could stop apologizing for not being perfect for your first game out. And I hope that this is the only time where he does that, because what I got was, honestly, I think, decent for what it is. It's $1 at base. I'm pretty sure that I got it for 50% off, 50 cents. And yeah, it is what it says it's going to be. It's an RPGMaker game that tells a simple story. Simple story, Alex.
All right.
Have you played any RPGMaker games?
I was going to say, I've played a couple. I think I played The Deed, which was pretty good. I played Nepenthe, which I think is an RPGMaker game.
It is, though he clearly created a lot of the tiles.
Yeah. Star Pilgrim Academy, I think it's called. It's got like 8 parts to it. That's a really well received RPGMaker game.
Okay, I haven't played that one. I've played other ones like Lie Eat, Trick or Treat, a couple of others, I think. And basically, I'm guessing that the reason I got this was very much that I've considered doing RPGMaker stuff myself, and basically want to see what other people are doing with this medium and how they make things. Especially ones like this, which is short with, a very basic narrative. It's interesting to me. And so I'm pretty sure that I must have picked this up at that time when I was exploring what other things have been done with it.
Yeah, I'm just looking up the store page to see why I picked this. I probably didn't even look at the store page. I probably just said, oh, that seems like a silly name. That'll be a good one to pick. But I'm glad it's not all, doesn't always have to be doom and gloom here.
I don't know how much I can really say. There's definitely going to be spoilers here.
So it's a short game, yeah?
It's a very short game. In fact, here's the problem. I finished the game in 38 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that was pretty much doing everything I thought possible. So I owe you about 20 minutes on some other game later. Because the only way for me to get the hour would be to literally just play through it again.
Yeah.
It's all about Alex, who is a security guard, and he is an alcoholic. It's very obvious he's an alcoholic. He can't leave the house. You're not allowed to leave the apartment until you've had a drink to help deal with your headache, which is very clever the way it's done. Alex's whole apartment is just a total mess because of the way that he's led his life. And you get very quickly the impression that every day is exactly the same. He needs to get more alcohol That's why there are bottles everywhere throughout the apartment. Pizza that's 2 weeks old, that kind of thing. And as you go to leave your apartment, it's like, oh, no, I can't leave until I've had a drink. So you have to go find a drink. Drink is always in the same place. It's under the sink. You get your drink. You go to leave. And instead of leaving, you're teleported to another world.
Okay.
And in that world, you're in a temple. And you have to find a key to get outside. So you have to do some very minor puzzle, very easy puzzle stuff to find the key, get your way out. And then every time there's going to be a task. So a character you will encounter will say, I need, for example, 15 coconuts. So you have to go around to all the palm trees and grab these coconuts and then go talk to the guy. There is some funny bits here where Alex is just really irritated. Why don't you just tell me? Why do I have to get you coconuts? This is a really stupid thing. It's a very funny bit, actually, and they do a lot of that. But what you're going to find with each passing round of this is the apartment changes each time to be slightly nicer, and the temple that you get teleported to gets slightly worse, and the house becomes more what it was when his wife was there and life was good, and the temple becomes more his terrible apartment and those things that are falling apart, and that becomes the temple, and it leads into this whole end, which is essentially, total spoiler here, kind of the ending is, it is a kind of limbo where he's stuck doing this over and over again, and this is his miserable life. But you could take it as this is literally happening to him. He's literally in limbo, or this is just his daily routine. He has his terrible life when he's awake, and then at night he's haunted by these dreams. I think that way works as well. It does a very simple story in a way that I think works well because it's in this medium. You can watch all sorts of TV shows about people who are alcoholics and the way they get through their day, but actually having to play that character and knowing you don't want that drink and you want to get out of the apartment, but you have no choice. And that kind of feeling of having no choice works very well as a game in a way that I don't think quite would hold the same feeling, the same bond to that lack of choice, that kind of constraint on your life when you're watching somebody else go through it.
Right. Do you think maybe the temple is like the representation of the guy's body? Like, my body is a temple, and so this is how he's treating it. So with every drink he takes, then his temple just goes further and further into...
It could be, but the thing is, he's already started off as a drunk in the beginning.
Okay.
So it should be already pretty terrible. Yeah. But you're eventually going to get to the end and see your own gravestone. And like I said, I like it. It's a simple story. It is very short, but it's only $1.
Oh, so do you die at the end?
Yeah,
or was it like Ghost of Christmas Future kind of thing?
No, you get some text at the end that basically said this is how he died. And the game is basically his dying thoughts.
Oh, okay.
So as he's dying, he's going through this. It's one of those kind of cliche moments in a movie where, oh, the whole movie took place in his head. So the whole game essentially took place in his head, but we're talking a 38-minute simple RPGMaker game. It doesn't feel like it's cheating. That's all this is.
Yeah.
And I think that you could kind of guess that anyway. I still kind of like the idea that this is his everyday, and the dreams are the limbo, the dreams are the nightmare. But take it as you want. I enjoyed it. Like I said, short but solid. And as I've said before, we are cheap, but how cheap can we be? Do I want it to be 38 cents because it was 38 minutes? I think anything $1 and under, unless it's really awful, I'm not going to be too harsh on it. And I think that he probably put a lot of time into making this. It's his first go out. I'm quite happy with it.
How are the character interactions? Is there like a lot of story talking between characters?
Not too much. You get a tiny bit of dialogue. And like I said, some of it is a bit funny, but it's not much. And you start to get the feeling of the repetition very early on. And it's not a lot of interaction, but you can interact with a lot of things in the environment where Alex talks to himself, as often happens with, old school JRPGs.
So what would you tag this as then?
Well, definitely RPGMaker story, I guess, narrative, short. I think those would be my top 3.
Very short by the sounds of it. Would I like this game?
I think that it's an experience. I think that you probably would have felt it went on a little bit long, even though it's very short just because of the fetch quests.
Right.
It's like, okay, but that's kind of the in-game joke of, oh, why can't you guys just let me do what I want? Why do you make me always go find stupid stuff that doesn't matter anyway? So for me, it works. I think that you would, because it's this kind of indie experience.
Mm.
So probably, but now that I've ruined it all for you, I'm not sure if you still would. But I think as far as seeing what somebody can do with RPG Maker, as far as storytelling, I think that it works. I think
how is the art in the game? Because like with Nepenthe, everything was hand-drawn. Is it one of these like hand-drawn RPG Maker things? Or?
This feels very much like it
assets
was made with the assets that probably are already standard.
All right.
I don't know because I haven't played around with it enough to know what's actually standard in. And even within that, there are so many versions of Maker that each one would be very different. So you'd have to know which one they've done. But no, this one feels like they're assets either from the actual base or that they've bought from somewhere else and imported.
Yeah, fair enough. So, done? Is there anything else you want to say about it? I don't want to just say I don't want to say Buyer's Remorse or Confirmation.
No.
Have I missed something out?
So you already asked would I recommend it to you.
Yeah, tags.
Would I recommend it to anyone else?
Oh yeah, would you? Yeah, so, and then that's it.
But you didn't ask that.
But I'm going to.
Okay, ask that. No, would you recommend it to anyone else? Are you going to play it again?
Oh yeah, that's right. You can't, yeah, okay. So, yeah, me, maybe, but other people, who would you recommend it to?
I would recommend to anybody who's into RPG Maker games, essentially, or who want a very short experience, because that's what it is. As far as would I play it again? I mean, maybe. I don't really have much need to play it again. And, I've already
finished it.
I've already finished it. And it's not like I don't think there's any cards or achievements or anything to go for. So there's really no need to go back in.
Yeah, I mean, if it had cards, then you'd have to play for 90 minutes. You have to complete it 3 times.
But I will say, if this dev comes out with something else that's similar for $1, I would probably give it a try.
Really? Yeah. So it left a fairly positive impression on you then.
Yeah, and I also think that when you see somebody this is their first time and it's decent enough, I want to see what they come up with their second time.
Fair enough. So, Buyer's Remorse or Confirmation then for you?
I'd say it's a confirmation. It's cheap and it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It is a simple story about Alex.
Buyer's Confirmation.
We're talking about a game that I had Darren play, which was
Tunnel B1.
And how did you get Tunnel B1?
In the bloody Oceans bundle.
One more for Justin.
Man. We start it up, and I don't really understand what's going on. There's like...
Well, that sounds like most of this bundle, but yeah, go on.
If I wanted to, by the time I finished speaking about Tunnel B1, that's how long it took to get through the introduction. You're in space, there's like a big Battlestar Galactica type ship. I don't know why I said that, as it could have said anything. Spaceship. This is the one that only works for controller. So, I don't have a controller.
So it's clearly the better version.
Well, not yet. So, I'm pressing buttons around, and finally I work out that you press shift and Z, that works as like the square button. So I managed.
It's very handy and convenient.
I managed to get into like the options somehow.
All this and more in the next episode of Buyer's Remorse.